Today on Locked On Red Wings, Patrick-Kane and Alex DeBrincat's connection thrived this year as both deliver solid, if not great, seasons.
You're Locked On Red Wings, your daily podcast on the Detroit Red Wings. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to the Locked On Red Wings podcast. We are your hosts, Brian Fisher and Scotty Bentley. Scotty's a host over at Locked On Tigers, as well as a sports writer for C&G newspapers, while I am a color commentator for Oakland University, ACHA D1 men's hockey. And today we're finally finishing up our player evaluations. It's been kind of sporadic and all over the place when we've been doing these episodes, but we've had some Griffins hockey, press conferences, and the draft lottery interspersed between that, and those kind of take precedence. So we are going to finish up the evaluations today with Patrick-Kane and Alex DeBrincat, as well as Peter Mrazek and Austin Watson. Before we can get to that, though, got to let you guys know that today's episode is brought to you by Monarch Money. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONNHL at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. Scotty, who do you want to lead off with in this episode? I feel like Patrick-Kane and Alex DeBrincat are just kind of attached at the hip when it comes to this. Who would you rather talk about first?
Austin Watson.
That was not one of the two options I gave you.
You actually didn't give me an option. You just said, who do you want to talk about first? And you just assumed that I was going to pick one of those two.
Yeah, but see, while I was asked you about that, I did specifically mention those two players.
Well, that's great you mentioned them. I can mention like chocolate milk. That doesn't mean that we're going to talk about it or that it's the only thing you can choose.
I mean, we can talk about chocolate milk.
I'm super down. I have some in the fridge right now. Yeah.
Do you really? That's
sick.
Yeah. I wish I had some in the fridge right now. What brand?
Dude. That's a great question. I actually think the one we have in there right now is Fairlife. So like, high-end stuff, but can't go wrong with some, Prairie Farms or whatever, too.
Great. Patrick-Kane or Alex DeBrincat, who do you want to talk about first?
You can start with Kane. I think that it's an interesting season for him. Obviously, production-wise, he ended up doing very, very well and ended up being one of the higher point producers on the team, but it was just interesting because when Lalonde was still at the helm and behind the bench, he was barely producing. And we were talking about like what to do with him. We were like, oh, this might be the end of the road. Like, where do you even put him in the lineup? Like, obviously you keep him on power play one, but like, maybe he's just like a third or even fourth liner at 5-on-5 at this point. And then he completely turned the season around with the new coach. And McLellean really helped a lot of players, but, maybe none more notably, to be honest with you, than Patrick-Kane production-wise. So it's tough. Like, expectations were pretty high for Kane. Like, he's Patrick-Kane, and he proved kind of in the second half of last season that he was going to be able to be a point producer still. Obviously, the first few months were well below expectations, but when it was all said and done, I think he probably ended where we expected him to going into the year, if not maybe a little higher even.
Yeah, I mean, and this is a guy who, as you noted, really broke out under Todd McLellean. I feel like Todd McLellan's approach early on of just like play to your instincts while they're trying to figure out what system works for these players really benefited Patrick-Kane, because under Lalonde, and it can work, but it just didn't work here, Lalonde really wanted like a stick to the system, very defensive first mindset type game, and that just is not who Patrick-Kane is. Patrick-Kane is all offense, especially at this point in his career, right? I mean, we talk about the things we loved and hated with this guy going into the year and all year long. Hated's a strong word. Love and dislike with his shortcomings. It's not hate. It's really not hate. That's such a quick adjective to use. Easy adjective to use. I thought by the end of the season, just to get this out of the way, by the end of the season, when you take his season as a whole, I thought he met expectations. If we are judging just solely based on the first half, which I think we did, he was below expectations. If you're going based on the second half of the season, under McLellean, when he played almost if not a 90-point pace, he would have been exceeding expectations. But when you take the season as a whole into account, you combine both those parts, he met expectations. He was 20 goals again, 59 points, 1 point away from 60. And remember, that final performance bonus that he needed was 60 points plus the playoffs. So he very nearly hit every single performance bonus he got. And his shortcomings were things that we took into account when talking about him, right? He's a defensive liability. There's no denying that. He got soft 5-on-5 deployments. He got a lot of offensive zone deployments, but that's because you're playing to his strengths. You shelter him a little bit, but you put him in the offensive zone where he's going to thrive. You put him on power play unit 1. Power play unit 1, you probably don't have the franchise's best power play without Patrick Kane. So it's like you take the good with the bad. You knew that going into the season, and I thought he met all the expectations as the season on a whole that we expected out of him. So I think he is like the poster child, I shouldn't say poster child, but when you look at his point totals alone and what he provided, because when you're talking about Patrick Kane, point totals is actually pretty much the full story that you're expecting out of him. Like, you're expecting him to be a point producer. There's not other elements of his game that you're expecting him to contribute with. I thought he delivered what we expected out of him.
Yeah, I like that too, because last season it was a similar conversation where it's like, hey, in this part of the season, he was on a point a game or higher pace. But before that, he wasn't. And that's kind of similar to last season as well, right? Where it was, okay, he came back from the injury mid-season, obviously missed a lot of time, came back, maybe got off to, just like getting reacclimated type of thing, a little bit of a slower start. And then once he found his stride, he was really good. And obviously it wasn't copy and paste the same situation, but it was a similar result as a season ago, production wise, where it was, okay, the first few months were really slow. And then once he found it, and it didn't go anywhere. So I'm totally fine with meeting expectations. And I think there's actually a lot of similarities to kind of what they got out of him a year ago as well.
Yeah, he was 5th on the team in 5-on-5 points at 29, 26 actually, I think. And then when it comes to the power play, he was 2nd on the team with 30, just behind Lucas Raymond, who had 37. So it's like he delivered production at 5-on-5, really delivered a lot of production at power play. That's exactly what you signed him to do, and he did it. So I think meeting expectations with this guy is kind of right there.
Yeah, works for me.
That's
so you know that's not Patrick Kane, right?
No, I got it. It's because DeBrincat was first, and I'm used to that being.
Yeah.
And while we're on the topic, let me refresh the listeners too, especially because we're getting close to the break, so we don't really have time to talk about DeBrincat. This is part 4 of this series. Like we said at the beginning, it's kind of been sporadic. If you look back into our Spotify history or YouTube history, wherever you're listening to us, you'll see parts 3, 2, 1 sometime between last week and this week. And you can see we do different categories: above and beyond expectations, exceeding expectations, meeting expectations, below expectations, and failing expectations. That is based on our personal expectations for each player. So you'll see Patrick Kane and Justin Holland both meeting expectations. That's because our expectations of those players are wildly different. They both met our expectations, just that our expectations for Hull were a hell of a lot lower than they were for Patrick Kane going into the year. So that's why you might see this and question it. And that might be why you have different ratings for these players as well. But I just wanted to remind the listeners, that's why these players are organized the way that they are. A, B, C, and D felt too arbitrary, so we went with a separate, also probably too arbitrary method that we liked. Scotty, let's head to a quick break. When we return, we'll talk about Alex DeBrincat, the winger on the other side of that second line. Stay tuned to segment 2 of Locked On Red Wings. You just realized your business needed to hire someone yesterday. How can you find amazing candidates fast? Easy. Just use Indeed. When it comes to hiring, Indeed is all you need. Stop struggling to get your job post seen on other sites. Indeed sponsored jobs put your post at the top of the page and help you reach the right candidates faster. I've been in that spot where you need to hire someone like yesterday. I've used Indeed personally it's been a few years now, back when I used to work at LCA as an assistant retail manager, and we were coming out of COVID. We needed to hire people fast. Indeed came in so clutch with hiring because it made hiring so much quicker and easier. And now you can speed up your hiring process with a $75 sponsored job credit. Just go to Indeed.com/lockedon right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring, Indeed, is all you need.
Indeed it is.
Okay. Segment 2, Locked On Red Wings podcast. You absolute goober. Scotty, Alex DeBrincat scored 39 goals for the Detroit Red Wings, led the Red Wings in goals, clearly, and was one goal away in this final game of the season from becoming the first Red Wing since Marian Hossa in 2009 to score 40 with the Detroit Red Wings. Quite the bounce-back year for Alex DeBrincat, though I think we had higher expectations for him going into this year, despite his down year last year. Did he take those expectations we had for him and go even beyond it?
Yeah, to me, undoubtedly. Like I this isn't even really difficult for me. I think this is absolutely exceeding expectations. I do give us, a little bit of credit for that. Like looking back, our prediction and what we kind of expected out of him this year didn't waver a ton. Like obviously, we didn't plan on him. Again, that's why he's in exceeding. Like I didn't plan on him pushing 40. I didn't plan on him having 40 goals be on the table with on the last game of the season. But I think that he did have an incredibly productive year. I think also, just to be fair to like what the fan base's discourse of him was going into the season, like he, I think, absolutely deserves some credit for the year that he had, because it was very low. The fan base was really hard on him and really kind of dragged him through, put him through the ringer last summer and at the end of last season because of his inconsistent play and how little he produced based on what they expected. And this year he turned around and had a career season. So I think that this is kind of a slam dunk exceeding expectations.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you. Like you said, this was a guy that people were a little bit down on. It was back-to-back years where he scored just 27 goals, but we were a little bit more forgiving of him going into the offseason. We talked about the fact that he set a career high in assists last year, and he was one of the big things about DeBrincat was he wasn't good defensively, right? But you could see him making the effort. He really skated. He's not necessarily a great two-way player, but he does skate hard on both sides of the puck. He forechecks hard and he backchecks hard. He does try to play defense, even if it's not his strong suit. And for me personally, that goes a hell of a long way for how I perceive a player. Obviously, at the end of the day, you want them to be good at it, but the effort is there with him. It's not like he's just out there coasting when the puck's not on his stick. He is trying. And this year, he combined those things that I liked about him last year, the effort with the defense and the aggressive forecheck, and he got back to his scoring touch, which was incredible. We set, I think our barometer was between 30 and 35 with him. He got 39 goals, on top of being that guy who still plays hard on both sides of the puck and was distributing nicely. And the thing is, too, is like you can't even claim he's a power play merchant, right? He led the team in power play goals. That is absolutely true. He had 14, Larkin had 13, and Kane had 12. But he also led the team in 5-on-5 goals with 22. So he had 8 more goals at 5-on-5 than he did on the power play. He was one of your best 5-on-5 players this year. And obviously that comes along with the fact that he's playing on that line that gets pretty healthy dose of offensive deployments, because that's a very high scoring line. They're going to put him in situations to score goals, but he's making the most of that situation. It felt like every single day in the season last year, we were getting a tweet across our boards. If you have the little notification bell on that said, Alex DeBrincat scored. Cat. It seemed like it was consistently every single day. And on top of that, like, unlike other players we've talked about, with Raymond, with Larkin, who did have nice seasons but had massive droughts, DeBrincat didn't have one of those massive droughts that he had last season. Like, it wasn't that he went on a massive tear to get to 39. He was consistently doing that day in and day out throughout the season. That consistency is the biggest thing for me. And I think that I agree with you. Yeah, exceeding expectations without a doubt.
Yeah, this is not even really a question for me, for sure.
Yeah. Next player up here, Scotty, Peter Mrazek. Now, this is a tough one to grade because he did only play, what is it here? He played just 5 games with the Red Wings after the trade deadline, put up a .902 save percentage in that span. Obviously, we'd have a little bit bigger of a sample size, but of course he got hurt. But it felt like just because he's a goaltender and the sample size would have been smaller regardless because of the trade deadline, we should throw him on the list. Anyways, expectations. What were your expectations for Peter Mrazek when they traded for him versus what we got?
Low. They were very low. I don't know, man. Like, I guess credit to him. Like, he did, I guess, exceed my expectations because they were so unbelievably low when the trade happened. But in the same breath, because of the injury, like, he didn't play very much.
Which you can't hold against him. Like, that's not. We're not going to hold that against him.
I don't hold it against him, but it does affect. Like what? He played like 3 games. We're gonna rank him for playing like 3 or 4 games. Like, you know what I mean? Like it definitely affects my I don't know how my ranking, but I don't hold the injuries against the players. Obviously, it's just something that happens. It's tough to really find a specific place, I guess, when it's such a small sample size. That's all. And like, just because he wasn't like an absolute train wreck like I thought he was going to be after the trade doesn't mean that I'm not still like seriously confused and concerned about what the goalie room's going to look like next season. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't like change my opinion of the goalie room going forward.
After Yzerman's comments, it really does feel like it's just going to be Mrazek and Talbot, and Kosa's going to have to earn it, which we knew, but the comments he made really reaffirmed that Kosa might not be here at the start, at least at the start of next season, which sucks. But I mean, after his performance, I don't know. That's a different conversation.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we'll have that conversation plenty over the summer, and we've already had it over the last couple of weeks. I don't even really. This is going to sound super dramatic, but like, I don't even really care as much about Kosa in terms of the goalie room next year. Like, obviously, if he ends up being ready and being really good, that's awesome. Like, I'm not going to be upset, but like, I'm far more concerned about the fact that the 2 goalies we have under contract, I don't think are going to make it through a season together and perform even remotely well next year than I am about like, where does Kosa fit in? Get anybody. It could be, I don't care who. It could be Bob Smith for all I care. Like, I don't care, but like they need someone else that is better to come in and play goaltender, whether that's internal or external. I don't really care how I care about Kosa's development ultimately at the end of the day. I don't need to like rush him. I just need some other option than the 2 we have.
You're right, and I agree with you, and that's a great conversation to have as we get deeper in the offseason.
For sure.
But for this 5-game sample size with Peter Mrazek.
5 games, dude. Like, yeah, I guess he was better, but like, what? Okay.
There needs to be, maybe we should create another category. It's like needs to see more.
Right.
Because that's NA. Because in that 5 games, did he exceed my expectations? Yeah, I don't think he went above and beyond again because of the small. It would be way crazy to put him in above and beyond just because of the sample size is so small.
Well,
but like, yeah,
like he wasn't like a Vezina candidate in those 5 games either. It's not like he was.
I can't in good conscience put him in exceeding expectations just because the sample size was so small. I feel like I got to put him in meeting. Like the bar was low, and so I know it sounds kind of hypocritical because like in those 5 games he did surpass those expectations, but it was just such a small sample size. Like I can't in good conscience really put him in anything above meeting.
I'm fine with that. I feel like he almost like he's just kind of in his own category of like,
right.
I
don't feel like creating
yeah.
I don't feel like adding an extra category, so he'll just camp out there.
You can just put him in meeting. That's fine. Put him right next to Justin Hall. Yeah, that's a good.
There we go.
We'll just kind of be like, hey, they're technically in meeting, but like same vibe. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Austin Watson is the last guy on this list. It's crazy.
Above and beyond. Good show. My dog right there.
He played 10 games, so my threshold for this is typically like 10 games or more with the Detroit Red Wings, at least finish the season with the team, right? Because obviously guys like Olimata and Joe Veleno, played plenty of, well, Husso didn't play more than 10 games, but,
Correct.
Didn't finish the season, so there's no point in ranking them. Austin Watson did play 10 games, and I think it'd be fun to rank him really quick. It's not a quick ranking. I think he's meeting expectations, right? He scored 2 goals, which is more goals than I expected to get out of him, but didn't get any assists. But 2 goals in 10 games and brought the physical, gritty element that we were expecting.
Yeah, I think this is a slam dunk above and beyond. I think we should give him the C next year and just see where it takes us. I think we should build around him as a player.
Just for that pun, I'm putting him in failing.
Yeah,
Austin Watson's
because
going to
you never make ridiculously awful puns. No, I mean, I think that. I mean, like I would put him in exceeding just because, sure. I you got 2 goals out of him, which I don't think we really expected, but
low bar,
right, very low bar.
One of them was crazy, by the way.
Right, a huge boost to his credit, but I do think that. And this is a super arbitrary way to look about this, and I understand that, but we're kind of like having fun at the end here with like Austin Watson. Like the mindset that I have here is like after every game that he didn't dress during that bad stretch, like all of the replies to the lineup card and like the fan base was just like, "Where's Austin Watson? Get him back in the lineup, whatever." So like. I don't know. I kind of feel like at a minimum, he brought something to the team that was unique enough, and even if it is kind of a specialty, that okay. So you're willing to make an extra row for Austin Watson, but not for Mrazek. Okay, awesome. That's great.
I'll make an extra row for Mrazek.
Literally, just name it Mrazek. Failing he's below failing.
It was gonna be too soon to tell.
That's way too long. And that's ridiculous, but sure.
One of them's called above and beyond expectations. Get out of here. Why is it left aligned?
Dude, you are.
Why is it not set?
Just so hard right now.
Whatever.
You're settling, dude.
Why is it not left aligned? Or why is it not center? What is happening here? Whatever. That's gonna have to look ugly.
It doesn't even all fit in the screen. You just completely screwed this whole thing up. I can't even believe it. But look at it's just Mrazek's forehead.
That's all you need to see. That's all anyone needs to see. Segment 3 of Locked On Red Wings coming up. Ever check your bank account and wonder, where did all my money go? Between dining out, online shopping, and entertainment, it's easy to lose track. That's where Monarch Money comes in, your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app, it's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one place, so you stop just managing your money and start building wealth. When you start using Monarch, you're going to realize how much money you're spending on food delivery, package delivery, subscription services. Now you can budget smarter and save more. And instead of juggling multiple apps, you can use Monarch to check on your finances, track spending, and even plan long-term goals. Managing money with your partner is smoother than ever, too. You can track shared and personal accounts, set goals, and stay on the same page without the stress. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONNHL at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONNHL for half off your first year. Segment 3, Locked On Red Wings podcast. All right, real quick recap, just to let everyone know where everything lies. Then we'll move on, get to our final, just quick little tidbit topic. In the dog category, somebody that it's just too cool to not rank, or too cool to rank. Austin Watson, bringing the grit, scored 2 goals, unexpected out of him. In reality, it's just hard to really rank him because he, played 10 games. And was a 4th-line grinder. Outside that, you got in your actual above and beyond category is Albert Johansson, Elmer Soderblom, exceeding expectations, Simon Edvinsson, Lucas Raymond, Moritz Seider, Marco Kasper, and Alex DeBrincat. How great is it that so many of the young players on this team are in the highest categories? That's awesome. Meeting expectations is Patrick Kane, Dylan Larkin, Tyler Mott, Cam Talbot, Andrew Kopp, Jeff Petrie, Ben Sherratt, and Justin Hull. Below expectations is Craig Smith, Michael Rasmussen, Alex Lyon, Jonathan Berggren. And in failing expectations is Tarasenko, JT Compher, and Eric Gustafsson, while in the too soon to tell category is Peter Mrazek. Scotty, do you have any final thoughts regarding the tier lists, the evaluation?
I don't think so. I feel like this was this is always a good and kind of fun exercise for us. And we usually do it at the halfway point or whenever the All-Star break is, and then again at the end of the season. And so I like comparing those lists, and there's some legitimate movement, across even where some players, you mentioned Patrick Kane, probably a big one, but there's a few guys that had their season status change kind of dramatically from even Four Nations to the end of the season, which makes sense because the Red Wings completely collapsed in that time frame. So makes sense that there was a big change, but it is just something that's interesting to notice for sure.
Absolutely. Scotty, let's talk finally about something not Red Wings related, but is in the media right now. The official announcement of Utah Hockey Club changing their name to the Utah Mammoth. They're no longer the Not Mammoth. They are the Mammoth for legit now. And I want to know your opinion, one, on the uniforms, which I'll pop up on the screen here, and two, on the logo and the name.
Yeah, so I love the name. I have no issue with the name. I don't know. Like, I kind of, and this isn't like a I'm so cool thing. This is like everybody just kind of knew that like the Mammoth were probably the front runner this whole time. We've known for the better part of a year that was kind of the obvious choice, if you will. The colors are pretty much the same as what they already were, so no big change there. I like them. It's fine. I appreciate the attempt to do like, hey, it's the Mammoth and we have the mountains. Like, that's cool. Look, we're incorporating like whatever. I think it looks like a clip art logo. I like legitimately, I feel like this is like if you type Mammoth on clip art growing up when you're in elementary school, and like that's like what comes up. So I think it's a little I don't know, cartoony. Is that the way? I don't really know what I'm saying, but like
it looks like an esports logo.
Yeah. It looks like. Did you ever play Madden 25? Wow, I can't. There's like two of those now. The first Madden 25 with Barry Sanders on the cover 10 years ago.
Well, I played the version that Adrian Peterson on the cover because I got the PS4 version.
Holy goodness. Okay, so no. So in that version, they the Barry Sanders Madden 25 that came out, I think, in like 2016 or something, but it was the 25th anniversary, whatever. And that game had relocations. You could like relocate your franchise to like Europe and stuff, like all over the world. This literally looks like that. Like the logo, I'm not kidding. Go look up the default options. They didn't have a Mammoth option, but like I'm not even kidding to you. Go look up the preset like options available. It looks exactly like it just belongs in one of those choices to me. So I think that's kind of lame, but I like the colors. I love the name. The thing that I do like logo wise is like the secondary logo on the pants with the U and the tusk. I think that's super creative and cool. The Utah one, the state one is like whatever. Like that's just Utah's a rectangle, dude. Like it's just a rectangle that says Utah in it, whatever. But I do like the like secondary tusk logo thing they have going on. Yeah, U tusk. I think that's cool.
So, one, it's crazy that you went with Madden as your example and not just EA NHL games because they have Create a Team, and this looks like a Create a Team logo.
No, it does. I just, that's in my memory. That's just like the exact, I don't know why, but like that's right. Just the exact kind of thing that my brain goes to. They have a team with this color scheme in it. Like it just really triggered that memory for some reason.
Yeah, and that was also the only Madden game I ever got was Madden 25. Only one I ever owned for the PS4. So crazy also that you referenced that one specifically, but I digress. My thoughts on this, Scotty, is kind of aligned with you. Like, it looks like a esports logo, and ever since somebody said that, I can't get it out of my head. But at the same time, I love the little details in it. Like, I do like that the head turns into the mountain range to kind of
I do
resemble.
like that. I appreciate that for sure.
And also how the outline, and they've noted this, the outline of Utah's border is in this little mountain range out here, how it like juts up and whatnot. Like that, it was specifically designed to look like the outline of Utah, and the tusk rather forms a U for Utah. Like there's a lot of little details I like, but altogether, just it looks like an esports team, which is fine. I know it'll grow on me because one thing I found out about myself, and I was just talking about this at work with my coworkers, is like I always initially don't like the design of the new team's logos. Except I think Vegas was the exception. I love the Vegas logo right off rip because of the V inside. It looked great. But like Seattle, I always thought they always looked like
sounded the Kraken. I loved the Kraken off rip and still do.
But see, like the Golden Knights, the Kraken, the Mammoth, they all sound like created team names. And that's always my gripe at first. And then the uniform and the logo grow on me, and now I'm fine with it all. And I know that's where I'll get to with this.
Yeah. I think the just expansion teams in general, like we just think like, oh, like that's super cheesy. And then once it's like, oh, this is a real team and not just an idea anymore, then that kind of goes away.
My big complaint, my only real complaint,
rock black, great color.
Yeah. My only real complaint that's not just nitpicking, Scotty, is that I do wish Mountain Blue was the primary color. I think it is incredibly boring that Mountain Blue is the secondary color, not even the primary on any of the jerseys. The most interesting color they have is the tertiary color on their jerseys, and it's a black uniform and a white uniform. I find that incredibly boring. I hope they do eventually incorporate a third alternate where Mountain Blue is the primary color on that uniform. And I'm sure they will. But just a black jersey and a white jersey is boring.
See, I get where you're coming from. I think we need like an all black like kit in the NHL. Like I think
LA Kings, they exist.
Well, okay, yeah, we need more of it. I guess I should say. LA should go back to purple. By the way,
they should.
Sick, dude.
Those are such good uniforms.
Yeah, no, I like it. I think. Again, it could have been a lot worse. I appreciate all the kind of shout outs to the state and kind of all the little stuff that they incorporated in that regard. But yeah, just the logo is a little cartoony for me. But I do appreciate all the, I mean, certainly we love it here with all the alternate jerseys we have when they incorporate, local stuff into that, and they did a lot of that with it. So
right, and I think the design itself is solid. I think it's a very standard hockey design. Yeah. Can't really go wrong with it. I just wish that instead of the black, it was the mountain blue.
I think it'll look good on ice.
And I do like their white kits. I like their white kits a lot. But how do you feel about them keeping the word mark for their away and not putting the logo on there?
I'm okay with it.
Yeah, I like it giving it it gives it a different feel.
Yeah. Yeah,
so I like actually that.
That's like a traditional, like classic, right? I mean, you have obviously the Rangers and whatnot. Like you, I don't know. That's like an established, just can't go wrong design in hockey too. So like, why not?
For sure. Scotty, any final thoughts on anything we've talked about today?
I don't think so. We ball.
We do ball. We'll be back with a new episode tomorrow. Going to be doing another Who's. Nice closet,
you
buddy.
See the belts that I just threw over the side of my door. Dude, so I had like a hanger for it and it fell off. I have a hanger for it inside my closet, like a hook rather is the word, for it inside my closet, and it literally fell off the wall. So until I get it fixed, they're just going over the side of the door.
That's crazy. I don't remember asking.
All right, dude. We'll see you tomorrow. Yeah, cool.
Same time, same place. It's your team every day.